markets week. First of all, Monday, you guys probably already know, we had no trading in the U.S. stock markets today because of President's Day. But going forth for the rest of the week, want to first let you know that it is the monthly expiration today. That's an important factor in weekly options this week. So we're looking for enhanced volatility going into Friday. But from an economic standpoint, we don't have too much tomorrow. We just have a couple of minor reports: Empire State Manufacturing, Treasury International Capital Report, and then the Housing Market Index. The important day is on Wednesday, when we have housing starts numbers before the market, and then also very important in the afternoon, we have FOMC minutes released at 2 o'clock. Then Thursday, we have consumer price index and jobless claims numbers, as well as the Philadelphia Fed survey on Thursday. And then to cap it off on the end of the week, we have existing home sales on Friday. One other thing of note, petroleum status report on Thursday. That's always fun to trade in the futures room. Okay, next item, we are finishing up trading the earnings for the first quarter of this year. We do have two stocks that we normally follow. On Wednesday the 19th, Tesla reports after the market close, and then on Thursday the 20th, we have Priceline reporting earnings after the market close. Two stocks to be aware of, and probably will not be trading in those particular stocks very much this week, especially from the standpoint of trading any sort of weekly credit spreads. Just way too violent, and but may give us the opportunity to trade the next business day after the earnings have been released. Usually there's some enhanced volatility, especially if we have some unexpected numbers. So looking forward to that. Okay, just going into the markets. First step into the S&P 500 index ETF, the spiders. Just looking at the overall S&P, we've been very strong over the past 2 weeks. A lot of upside momentum still in play. Looking to continue higher. Look to find a little bit of resistance right around the 185. This also corresponds with the two previous highs also. So as we continue to move higher, that is a major level of resistance. MQ trend dots are also at that level. You can see them right here. But the one thing to keep in mind is that we do have a lot of upside momentum. So we just need to see what happens here. We may overshoot and make higher highs, but we'll continue to watch that. As you can see on the weekly chart, we definitely have that same sort of pattern. But this time, whereas we had a double top here, bearish divergence, and then a pullback, this week we actually have increasing upside, decreasing downside momentum, and the potential to continue to go higher. I think a lot will have to do with what has been said with the FOMC minutes, and just get an insight into how the Fed may or may not have changed its thinking going forward with the new Fed chair. Okay, the next index I want to take a look at is the NASDAQ 100 ETF, the QQQs. You can see here on the weekly, we really just completely blasted through the two previous highs, continuing higher. The slope of that line is very steep. We are hitting some MQ trend dots right now on the daily chart, but momentum is still very strong. So we'll just see how this continues to go higher, or if the markets do pause here, looking to find some support right around 89, which is the past previous high before this recent breakout. So we'll continue to watch the Qs and the S&P for indications of the performance of the overall market, and trade accordingly with our individual stocks. The first one I want to take a quick look at, just our three primary trading stocks, and then we'll go on to a couple of others here. Apple has been very strong on a daily chart. You can see this descending trend line. We're actually running into it right now. However, upside momentum in Apple is still very, very strong. The next level of resistance should be either 550, just because of the real clean round number. Apple has a tendency to stop at those levels. If we can continue higher, the next resistance level is based off this point of inflection, this high here, right around 560. Now, the one thing to note is that on Friday, even though we did go higher, we did run in, we're starting to decline a little bit in our upside momentum. But again, the height of these histogram bars are still quite high, quite strong, and the MQ momentum indicator line is still positively sloped. So Apple does have some capacity to continue run higher. You can see here on this bar and this bar we hit significantly overvalued, but we've managed to just pull back into the moderately overvalued levels. So at this point we still have some capacity to run higher in Apple. Google hitting all-time highs every day. From this pullback, hit the all-time highs, pulled back again, running higher yet again. The thing that's different is, you can see on the weekly, this thing is almost a straight line going higher. Same thing on the daily. There's a lot of upside momentum. This indicator line is still quite positive. Just looking to continue to find good opportunities in which we can enter this, that Google does look like it's continuing to move higher. Next would be Amazon. Now, the thing that's interesting about Amazon, going into Friday, it looked like a bearish divergence forming here. We had these lows here corresponding to this histogram bars, these lows here corresponding to this histogram bar. So that is a bullish divergence. Looking for a good opportunity to get in. We did close below the 8 EMA on Friday. If Amazon can break above the high of this day, which is 365, we could run up higher and test the high on this bar here. Excuse me one second. Okay, so Amazon does look like it's continuing higher, but we just need to watch momentum to see if this indicator line can start to turn higher. The next stock I want to take a look at is Netflix. Netflix has been quite strong on a tear, but one thing you want to watch is this upside momentum here, down here according to these histogram bars, pushed the stock higher. It went sideways and consolidated for a little while and then broke higher again over the past week. Now, what you notice is even though we are bullish, the relative strength of the upside momentum is weaker. So looking for maybe a pullback in Netflix. I'm sorry about this. That was our short strike from last week. If we do roll over and pull back, we're going to find some support right around 413, the highs of this consolidation period. If we break through that, then easily looking to test the 21 or maybe the next high on this 396 coming back. If we make a major pullback, then the first level of support should be 385 right here, the previous all-time high. Okay, next is LinkedIn. LinkedIn has been significantly weaker. We've been playing LinkedIn with bearish call credit spreads for the past couple of weeks. It really has gotten weaker and weaker, broken below these lows last week. Now we're sitting at significantly undervalued. We'll continue to watch this, that LinkedIn has had at least 5 days of lower lows. So we're going to go ahead and watch this for potential bounce. And the last time we had a bar that looked similar to that was right back here on the 27th, and the bounce that occurred really was about an 8-point bounce higher to the high. So LinkedIn is a little bit overdue for a bounce. We'll just continue to watch it because this could either bounce or power lower based on this downside momentum. And the next one I want to take a look at is Priceline. I just want to share with you this particular chart. The one thing to keep in mind is on Thursday we have earnings, so I don't want to be holding any positions after the close on earnings on prior to earnings on Thursday afternoon. But just been watching Priceline, that this move from the lows down here at 11, right around 1,110, and the highs where we are right now is 1,280. That's $170 worth of upside move in Priceline. It's just been amazingly sharp. Been looking for pullbacks in this, but this thing just keeps running higher. The MQ momentum line is pretty much 45-degree angle higher, so Priceline does have some capacity to keep running higher, just as it has been. But I can only imagine a pullback in Priceline over a day or so could easily be $30 or $40. If we do pull back from here, I'd look for this to come back and possibly test support right around 1240. But we'll continue to watch that one closely and see if Priceline gives us an opportunity to trade it and possibly roll over. Okay, and last but not least, just one of our newer stocks that we're following, Under Armour. After a good earnings report, we've run higher, bounced higher, nice consolidation period last week. However, instead of going consolidating and moving higher, it's looking like it's consolidating, starting to break lower. We closed on the 8 EMA on Friday, and the downside momentum is now negative. So we'll go ahead and continue to watch Under Armour. The next layer of the next area of support is right around 103 and a third, and below that, if we break that level, look to go ahead and test 95.93 to the downside, and that it corresponds to the low of the day following the gap. So we'll continue to watch Under Armour, see if it gives us some opportunities to trade it also. But basically, that will be it. We are coming to the end of earnings season, so the market's going to be looking for some direction. May have some choppiness in this area because we are very close to, we are at all-time highs in the NASDAQ, and then the spiders, we are approaching that level also. So we'll go ahead and continue to trade and keep an eye on the FOMs, on the Federal Reserve, and see which way it directs us. Okay? All right, well, that's it for me today. For tonight, Arthur, feel free to ask me to take a look at that one in the, I'll do it right now if I think we have a minute here. CRM, that's one we normally follow also. Okay, well, CRM, it looks like it's still moving higher. We do have a higher momentum profile than we did the last time it made some highs here. MQ momentum indicator line is going higher. So it definitely seems that CRM is in this daily trend of making higher highs and consolidating, pushing higher, consolidating, and we'll just have to see where it continues to go. But generally in a upward sloping channel going forward. Okay, one more, and I'll hand it over to Thomas here. Lockheed Martin. Lockheed Martin has been very strong in the past 2 weeks. Tony, I don't see any let up in that. We did hit significantly overvalued on Friday. You can see the red bar segment up there, but upside momentum is strong and the indicator line is strong. So there's no indication of a turn yet. You may want to watch on a lower time frame to see if to time a pullback. But again, this momentum picture is very strong, and the price action is very strong also. Okay. All right, Thomas, let me go ahead and hand it back over to you.
All right. Thanks, Dave.
Oh, you're welcome. Sorry here.
Give me one
okay.
second.
Yeah.
All right.
Back
Can everybody see my screen? Just want to double check really quick, make sure everyone can see it. If you can, then we'll go ahead and start going through them. All right, first off, let's take a look at crude oil. I'm actually going to switch this up so you can see weekly charts instead of my daily. I'll be able to see weekly and monthly. I'm bullish crude oil. I'm not 100% sure on this week. This coming week, I'm kind of neutral, but longer term, meaning the rest of this month and next month, I'm bullish crude. I'd like to see it get up and test this trend line all the way up here around 110. We broke through the previous resistance. We broke through it again today and have pulled back down below it. So it's kind of iffy. The resistance is at the 189, but momentum's looking very bullish on our weeklies. Momentum's looking bullish on our monthlies. And momentum's looking bullish on our dailies. So I'd like to see crude continue to climb. Moving on to RBOB. I'm bullish RBOB. So I'd like to see RBOB head higher this week. Reason being, we broke through and out of this weekly pennant that dates back to the beginning of 2013. We broke out of it. The next level of resistance is going to be right there at 2.874 or 847. Excuse me, getting a little dyslexic. Once we can get through there, we should move up another 1,000 points to the 2.967 level, and then potentially all the way up to test the highs. But again, momentum is looking good. We have a nice inflection to the upside. We're breaking out of the pennant, so bullish heating oil or RBOB. Moving on to heating oil. We're bullish heating oil as well. If you look at heating oil on your monthly chart right here, we're just now breaking out of a very well-defined monthly consolidation dating back to the beginning of 2011. So you're talking about a consolidation pattern that's been going on for the past 3 years. We're breaking out to the upside. Next level of resistance is going to be these previous monthly highs here. Once we can get through the 3.142, which is still 500 ticks above where we are, once we're through there, we should go test the next high and the next potential resistance. Once we get through the highest resistance, heating oil could really start ripping higher. So we could be in the very beginning stages of a pretty big up move in heating oil and RBOB. All right, so we're bullish heating oil this week as well. Taking a look at nat gas. We were bullish nat gas last week. We're going to go ahead and just stay bullish. Trend is obviously up. I'm not going to try to fight the trend. For those of you that got in last week off of the daily trend line, I mean, if you're still holding it, you are doing great. You're up $10,000 a contract just about. So doing really, really well with those trades. I would at a minimum expect a retest of these previous highs all the way up around the 5.7 level, which is what we've been talking about all last week as well. So far it's continuing on up, still looking good. Moving on to gold. Let me fix my monthly chart. We're going to go ahead and say bullish gold still. We were bullish last week. Momentum still looks good. Everything still looks strong. Now, one thing I will say is we're up a pretty significant amount. So there's not really a setup that's saying, okay, this is the beginning of an up move. We've already moved up quite a bit. We may go into a little bit of consolidation, but as of right now, our momentum still looks very strong on our dailies. Now, if we do get a little bit of consolidation over the next couple of days, if we break the previous high, I'm going to go with bullish once again. So really the outlook for gold is cautionary bullish, expecting a little bit of consolidation, and then a bull flag for a move higher. One second. Sorry about that. As you know, I sit here and I take notes on all the weekly outlooks I talk about so we can go back and review next week, see how well we did. Taking a look at silver. Silver is very interesting because we are almost to this weekly downtrend line. If we can break through this weekly downtrend line, I'm going to say bullish. I'm going to say bullish right now to test the trend line. So silver up to test trend line, then down if not broken. Copper. Copper, our weeklies are kind of interesting. If we break, see, momentum on the dailies looks somewhat bullish. But what I don't like about the dailies right now is we're retesting this broken trend line here. So there's a little bit of resistance. I'm just going to go ahead and say neutral copper. If we break the downtrend line on the weeklies, then bullish. But until that happens, just neutral. Platinum, we were bullish last week due to the retest and the candlestick reversal. I'm going to go ahead and say bullish again this week up until the highs here, where we're going to have resistance at 1473. Again, it's not really a weekly setup. What it is we're looking for the continuation from last week's setup. Soybean meal. What's interesting about bean meal, I'm going to go ahead and just say trend is up. There's not really a great setup in it right now, so I'd rather just leave it alone for now. Bean oil, don't really have a strong opinion on bean oil either. Soybeans. Soybeans are very interesting. We broke out last week of this trend line here, but this is what we want to watch now. So beans are in a very well-defined weekly pennant. If we can break out to the upside, I'm going to say bullish. If we can't, I'm going to say bearish. So soy is neutral, waiting for breakout. By the way, last week of the 19 markets that we said had setups, we were correct on 18 of the 19. Well, technically, I guess we were spot on with 16 of the 19. We were wrong with one of the 19, and then two of them, based on the price action, we had changed our outlook. So it was right but wrong at the same time. Looking at wheat, don't really have a strong opinion on it. Your dailies still look bullish. Looking at corn, again, not really a strong opinion on it. Dailies still look bullish. Weeklies, not really a strong opinion. What's the numbers in soy? We need to see soy break above 1364 or break below 1280, but it's not going to be 1280 this week, I don't think, or 1278. So moving on, bonds. We were bullish or bearish bonds last week. I'm going to go ahead and say bearish bonds this week as well. We're bearish the entire month based on the monthly pattern. One thing I will say about bonds, however, is if bonds break through the previous high, so if bonds break above last week's high, we should see a retest of the highs. So U.S. bearish based on monthly. But it should retest the highs if it breaks previous high. Take a look at the 10-year note. I'm going to go with bearish 10-year note, similar to bonds, unless it breaks last week's high. If crude oil is neutral, can heating oil be bullish? Yes, it absolutely can. The Dow, I don't have a strong opinion on it. I still wouldn't be surprised. We know we've been bullish for the past couple of weeks in the indices. Wouldn't be surprised to see a retest of the previous high. Other than that, not really much there. By the way, we finally hit that 40 level. That's what we were predicting the S&P getting to. Now, one thing to watch for the S&P, we're setting up a very nice bearish divergence on our weeklies. So we'll keep an eye on this over the next couple of weeks, see whether or not we're going to get it to stall out. If it does stall out, I'll be watching for it to move lower. NASDAQ, you have a bearish divergence on your weeklies, but again, I don't want to go against the trend right now. Trend is up. If we do kind of stall out this week, then I'd be looking for next week for it to head lower. Nikkei, don't really have a strong opinion. Again, not really a good setup there. Russell, same thing. Not really a good setup, just like the other indices. The dollar index. What's interesting about the dollar index is today This is today's price action. Yeah, today we had a yellow jacket doji, which would suggest the dollar index should go higher. The other thing that you want to look at is a trend line here that's going to provide support. So dollar index, we're going to say up if trend line not broken. And then down if broken. Moving on, taking a look at the euro. Weekly momentum looks bearish. We still haven't broken through those previous daily and weekly highs. You had a candlestick reversal last night on your dailies, or today on your dailies, so I wouldn't be surprised to see the euro head lower. So, euro. We're bearish to the euro as long as we stay below the previous daily highs. The yen, I don't really have a strong opinion on the yen. Your dailies look very bearish to me. Looks like we're putting in a lower high here on our dailies. We have weak momentum, lower high prices, so potentially lower highs, lower lows on the dailies. As long as we don't break through this weekly trend line here, I expect it to go lower. The one thing I will say, though, is that it may bounce up to test it. So I'm kind of neutral the yen. In other words, dailies look bearish, but I'm neutral based on the weeklies. Aussie, don't really have a strong opinion. Remember, the Aussie is bouncing up off the support provided by the previous monthly lows. We're starting to pick up some upside momentum on the weeklies. Dailies also look bullish, so we could see the Aussie continue to climb. Can't really see anything on the Kiwi. Canadian dollar, don't really have a strong opinion on the Canadian dollar. We're due for a little bit of consolidation. Excuse me. Take a look at our fibs. We're just about at a 50% retracement, but that's not enough to make me say bearish. Daily momentum looks bullish, so again, just kind of neutral to loony. British pound, as you know, we've been bullish the pound for the past couple of weeks. What we're going to say is bearish unless resistance is broken here on the monthlies. So again, British pound, we're bearish unless it breaks the resistance. It may bounce up a little bit more to test the resistance first before coming back down. It hasn't quite hit it yet. Swiss franc is going to follow the euro. So again, we're going to say bearish to Swissy as long as the euro doesn't break the previous high. Peso, there's not really a setup. Sugar, not really anything there. Cocoa, trend is up. We're hitting higher highs. But there's not really a setup there. Coffee, we were bullish last week. Trend is moving. I'm going to go ahead and argue that our trend is shifting to an uptrend. So as long as trend continues, it should go higher. Cotton, I'm going to say bearish. Reason being, you have a weekly candlestick reversal, so you just had a yellow hat doji on your weekly last week. Our monthlies look very weak. Looks like we're putting in a lower low, lower high. Our dailies had a bearish divergence. We also retested the broken trend line here, which for some reason that got thrown off because it rolled over to the May contract. So speaking of that, you rolled over to the May contract. Be aware of that. So again, bearish cotton. Cattle, it's coming down a little bit off the daily bearish divergence. I don't really have a strong opinion on cattle. It's going to have resistance up at these previous highs. Trend is obviously up. I'd rather just leave it alone. Hogs, as you know, we're bullish hogs. We're putting in a higher low on our monthlies with higher highs, higher lows. We had a nice breakout of this weekly consolidation. We were bullish last week as well, so I'm going to go ahead and say hogs continue to be bullish. By the way, a lot of people ask me why I like to write down what my outlooks are. That's because it when you write something by hand, it sticks in your brain a little bit better. The DAX is going to be following along with the rest of the U.S. indices, so kind of neutral. And the Euro Bund, we're bearish the Bund still based on the weeklies or based on the monthlies. Weeklies, if it breaks last week's high, it'll go higher, just like the U.S. bonds. So FGBL, we're bearish unless last week's high is broken. All right, let me answer some questions really quick. Again, if crude oil is neutral, can he be bullish? Yes, it can. Is it likely for bonds to go higher? The market would have to come down a little bit. Not necessarily. They can both head up at the same time. They are typically they're normally negatively correlated, but it's not. It doesn't have to be. What's the high of last week? What's last week's high in bonds? If it breaks above 133.14, it should go higher. Ronald, I'm not sure. I'll show RBOB one more time when I have a chance. Yes. RBOB, you had a weekly downtrend line. We broke through it. Last week, closed above it, opened above it this week, and so far already continued to move up. We have higher lows in our momentum, which is good. Breaking out of the monthly trend line as well, which is good. So everything suggesting RBOB should continue to go higher. The downtrend line for soy was what price again? Soybeans, you need to see soybeans break above the 1364. So just to do a really quick recap, crude oil, bullish, but somewhat neutral. So it's kind of just bullish because heating oil and RBOB are breaking out, and if they're going to continue to go higher, I'd expect crude oil to go higher as well. Well, soy's moving up. So RBOB and heating oil both bullish due to the weekly breakouts. Nat gas bullish to test the highs. Gold neutral to bullish. We could get a little bit of consolidation because we're significantly overvalued on the dailies, so we're cautionarily bullish. Silver bullish to test the trend line and then down if it can't break through the weekly trend line. Platinum bullish to test the highs from a continuation of last week's setup. Soybeans, we're waiting on the breakout. Bonds, we're bearish based on the monthly chart, but bullish up to retest the monthly highs if it breaks last week's high. 10-year note, same thing as bonds. Dollar index, we are bullish if the weekly trend line is not broken, and then bearish if broken. The euro, we are bearish as long as we stay below the previous highs. Our momentum on the weekly still looks bearish. British pound, we are bearish unless the monthly resistance is broken. However, it's a cautionary bearish. It could go up and test the previous highs or test that actual resistance that hasn't hit it yet. Momentum still looks bullish in the pound. So the pound, it's not one I'm very confident in. I wouldn't be surprised to see it go up and test the highs or test the actual resistance to the tick before coming back down. Cotton, we're bearish due to the candlestick reversal and the retest. Lean hogs, we are bullish due to the weekly breakout and the higher monthly lows. And Euro Bund, we are bearish unless it breaks the previous weekly high, and then we're bullish back up to retest the highs once more. I'm not sure if I covered the Nikkei. Yes, I did, but I'll go over it one more time. Nikkei, there's not really a weekly setup. Your dailies are looking bullish. You have stronger, higher lows in momentum, higher lows in price. So that looks bullish based on your dailies. Your weeklies, not really sure. Wouldn't be surprised based on your monthly pattern to see it bounce back up and retest the monthly highs. You're new. What is RBOB? RBOB is unleaded gasoline futures. New York Harbor blend stock. It's a big contract, so make sure if you're going to trade RBOB, you understand what you're getting into. It's a big contract, has a big spread. There's no volume at night. You only want to trade during pit hours, but it has a lot of really good opportunities. So that's it. Again, so far doing pretty good. Last week we were correct, as I mentioned, depending on how you look at it, 18 of 19 markets. If you want to be really strict and say our opinion couldn't change from Monday, then you're going to go with we were right on 16 of 19. So either way, still really good. We're averaging about 75%, between 75 and 80% on being right on weekly outlooks so far. So that's all for tonight. I look forward to seeing everybody bright and early tomorrow morning. Dave, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, just fine. Just thank you, everybody, for joining us this evening.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great evening. We will see you tomorrow. Don't forget to sign up for the workshop coming up on Wednesday, talking about momentum trades. That's if you go to valuecharts.com/top, you can sign up for that. Again, see you all tomorrow.